In the new program, there was a big change. The TEA used to be $500,000 and non-TEA was $1 million. That increased to $800,000 and $1.05 million now. So targeted employment area projects do have a minimum investment of $800,000, whether that's in a rural area or in a high unemployment urban area. With the EB-5 Reform and Integrity Act of 2022, not only did they make that change, they made the change where you can file concurrent filing for your change of status if you're filing in the United States. As well, you do have priority processing in rural targeted employment area projects. So if you invest in a project that is in a rural area, you will have what is called priority processing. People were just able to start filing petitions back in August. Right now it's early October while I'm doing this video here. So we have not had enough time for any of the investors to be adjudicated. In the bill, they did state they want all petitions adjudicated within 240 days, and the USCIS has stated they want an average processing time for I-526Es at 6 months. I do not believe that that's going to happen anytime soon. So before this, we were seeing average processing times for an I-526 around 2 years. And I would expect possibly a little decrease from that. The only thing that we do know about priority processing, it will be faster than filing in any other type of project. So if you invest in a rural project, you have priority processing, your case will be processed more quickly than if you invest in an urban area that has the high unemployment targeted employment area status. All right. Rural and urban areas that are in TEAs also qualify for what are called set-aside visas. There's also set-aside visas for infrastructure projects, which are extremely rare in the EB-5 program. So mostly we're looking at the urban and the rural TEAs. What that means is they are going to set aside 20% of all the visas every year for people that invest in rural projects. And they'll take 10% of all the EB-5 visas every year and set those aside for people that invest. This is in the new program at $800,000 in high unemployment urban areas. So this does not apply for anyone that invested at $500,000 prior to the change. This is only for the new investors after the March 15, 2022 bill, and who really started investing in about August of 2022. So it will be for those investors at $800,000 moving forward, okay? One more thing I would like to cover on that, what that really means is that if you are from India, China, or Vietnam, there is a backlog to obtain a visa if you applied at $500,000. Right now, India and China both show a backlog on the visa bulletin. Vietnam will eventually do the same once more I-526 petitions are adjudicated, but that's really just a matter of time. And so if you're investing from China, India, or Vietnam in the new program, then you can obtain one of these set-aside visas and skip that backlog. You're not in the same queue that everyone that invested at $500,000 is in. So there's a new queue. Now that new queue will eventually, of set-aside visas, will eventually backlog for both urban and rural. However, it will take a much longer time for it to backlog in rural than it will in urban. The reason why is because 20% of the visas are going to rural areas, 10% to urban. So you have twice as many set-aside visas. The other reason is that there are a significantly more number of projects in urban areas than there are in rural areas. There's simply not enough projects in rural areas right now to backlog the amount of set-aside visas there are for rural projects. The fiscal year for EB-5 runs from October 1st to September 30th. So the October 1st, 2021 to September 30th, 2022 fiscal year, we had almost 20,000 visas in EB-5. Normally there's 10,000 a year. The reason why is because they had all these extra visas that came from the family-based categories that were not issued because so many consulates around the world were closed down because of COVID. So all these extra visas came into the employment-based category. 7% of all those go to EB-5. And so EB-5 had almost twice as many visas as normal last year. So 20% of almost 20,000, that is about 4,000 set-aside visas for rural projects. Per the rules of the new program, those get added on to the next year's quota. This next year, October 1st, 2022, which was just the other day, to September 30th of 2023, there is almost 15,000 visas available for the EB5 program. So if you combine that, we have close to 7,000 set-aside visas this year available for investors that invest in rural projects. That means there's almost 3,500 for urban projects, because that's half the quota. 20% go to rural, 10% go to urban distressed. And then next year, it will take time for these petitions to be adjudicated, and next year we'll add another 2,000 or so visas, 20% of 10,000, 2,000 set-aside visas for rural, and another 1,000 for urban. So what does that mean? Usually there's around 2.5 visas per investor, right? Sometimes it's a single investor, sometimes it's a family of 4, whatever it may be. If it's 2.5 visas per investor, and we have almost 7,000 set-aside visas in rural areas, it would take somewhere close to 3,000 investors in rural projects for there to be a backlog. Right now, I do not know of 1,000 spots available in rural projects. So we're in a position where we need more projects to come into the market before we could even potentially backlog the rural set-aside visas. For urban, that's different. There are more projects and there are half as many set-aside visas. Those will definitely backlog more quickly. So if you're from China, Vietnam, or India, your best bet to obtaining a green card in the quickest manner is to go through a rural project. I hope this was informational for you. Please contact us at EB5 United. If you'd like a consultation, I can set you up. We'll set you up with one of our sales reps. You can find them there on our website, and we look forward to speaking more with you. If you have further questions, just reach out. And if you want more information on our projects, please contact us. If you're in the US, we just have to have an accredited investor form filled out to make sure that we are following SEC restrictions. And if you're outside the US, we can go ahead and get you the information more quickly. Thank you for your time.